Are we treating disease backwards? The current medical model actually waits for you to get sick and then addresses your solutions. But are they really solutions? So, what if we actually flipped the script on everything and we focused on keeping ourselves well, preventing illness, actually before it even began? In fact, we looked at health as a state that we create consistently, deliberately over a period of time. Imagine that. So in this video, we're going to talk about therapeutic order and how we can transform our approach to healthcare. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Dr. Erica Steele. I'm a board certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 7 degrees in my field. They're all in the natural healthcare space. I like to say that I went to school so you don't have to. So 90% of healthcare spending in the US actually goes to treating chronic disease that are largely modifiable and preventable, meaning that people actually have more control over their health than what they actually believe. But unfortunately, there's so much gaps in access of education and understanding. And so getting education out to people so they know what to do, they know their data is, of course, why we created these channels, why I do all of the work that I do, and why I've spent a lifetime in learning how the body actually works to be able to teach others. And in fact, we know that countries with stronger preventative healthcare systems actually see lower hospitalizations and longer life expectancies in comparative models. And so those were stats were according to the CDC and also the WHO. So this week, we've all been talking about reactivity versus proactivity. And so today we're going to get more into that healthcare debate because most people don't seek medical attention or medical care until something is wrong. But by then, they're already deep into disease management, or, their nutrients have depleted, their organs are no longer functioning properly. And so now they're looking for the Hail Mary, right? And so in holistic medicine, we don't necessarily go for Hail Mary passes, although we're put in those positions often. Instead, we use therapeutic order. So we'd rather go in with a plan to actually guide things. And so we start off with what's the most foundational. Then we look at natural approaches and then only escalate if it's necessary. So we know we can always go to the ER. We know we can always go run to an urgent care. We know that those things are available. Go run to a surgery, run to a treatment. Those are always available. We want to make sure that we want to do our due diligence first before we are running off to, because we don't always know what we're running into. So we're going to break down how to control your health or gain control over your health, because it's really about power. Like, I don't want your power. And I really am a firm believer of not giving your power away to anyone or anything, meaning that I'm not going to give my health over to the healthcare system and make them responsible for it. Instead, I'm going to hold agency. I'm going to hold sovereignty over my health. And I'm going to, learn about my body and how my body works, and then heal myself before illness even takes control and I have to, partner with somebody. So first things first, let's frame out what reactive healthcare is, because I often see this in my practice, unfortunately, because it's the way that we're all trained and programmed. So we wait until we're sick. So we break down in that medical care based model where it's disease focused and not health focused. So it's by the time, the body breaks down, now it's all these symptoms. It's like an old car. I hate to use that analogy, but it works. Okay, now I have to do this and now I have to do that. And after they appear, rather than addressing the root causes early. So I try to get people out of that model by pumping the brakes in the beginning. And I know that people really, they're so used to everything being fast, 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 but it's really, excuse me, indicative of their nervous system. And how their nervous system is so dysregulated and in that fight or flight. And so we don't want people to, approach their health from that perspective, because it can lead to over reliance on all kinds of things, but pharmaceuticals, interventions, treatments. I know, I started off doing manual therapy, and I kind of felt like a pill with certain people, because they would come in, get the treatment, but then not necessarily stretch afterwards or do the strengthening exercises. And, more and more and more, it became clear to me that it was also underlying nutrition issues too that were affecting the healing process of the muscles. So a person naturally with, let's say, prediabetes is often told to watch their sugar, but they're not really given real nutritional guidance. And I often see that. It's like failures within the healthcare system. It's like, go lose weight. Okay, how? What? So years later, people wind up, like in this case, they wound up on insulin and multiple medications. And this could be prevented with early intervention and early education. So it's kind of one of those things that grinds my gears about healthcare, because they don't know all of the information, and they don't do their due diligence to make sure patients, receive the appropriate information. So what is proactive care? So now we talked about that reactive. So proactivity, it's lifestyle based. Remember, your health is as a state that we build every single day. And so we want to track these things. We want to track our water. We want to track our protein. We want to track our, sugar or our weight. We want to track maybe our lab markers or our heart rate or whatever we're looking at, because we want to catch our imbalances early. And then we align with traditional healing systems, whether that is Ayurveda or traditional Chinese medicine or our Afro-Indigenous practices or naturopathy or homeopathy. There's so many different healing systems that exist. And so it's using, all of these tools. It's grabbing some tools here and tools there and applying them. And only based off of the result that you're trying to create. And so as an example, a patient, let's say with high stress or gut issues, I may teach them about nervous system regulation, stress reduction, healthy foods, getting their blood sugar balanced, instead of just waiting for them to come in with an IBS diagnosis or an autoimmune diagnosis. It always tripped me out when patients would go, okay, well, I'm going to go to the medical doctor, and then when I get a label, I'm going to come back to you. And it's like, wait, I don't need the label. Come back. Let's talk about this first. Like, let's not do that. And so we follow, again, a therapeutic order. So even if like my house is not on fire, right, I want to have a smarter way or approach to my health. And so it's a step-by-step approach that prioritizes gentle, sustainable, and natural interventions, right? Instead of jumping into all these invasive procedures, we want to remove obstacles from healing. So our lifestyle factors such as nutrition, stress, sleep, environment, etc. And then we stimulate self-healing. And so with movement, hydration, sun exposure, emotional balancing, then we support our weakened immune systems. And or weakened systems rather. So that's where supplements, herbs, or our functional lab testing comes in. We also look at structural integrity. So, our muscular skeletal system. So exercise, manual therapy, chiropractic, osteopathy, those come in. And then look at symptom management with natural therapies. So that's where homeopathy is going to come in, essential oils, or even more targeted nutraceutical support. And so once we exhaust all of that, right, even mental, emotional, psychosocial, there's all kinds of aspects, right? Once we've exhausted all of those, right, and or the body's signaling to ourselves, because those are all maintenancing. Those are all tools that I use to be able to, I need this, I need that, right? Before I get to needing a surgery or needing a pharmaceutical. Though that's the last resort, but rest assured, there may be times where, I may reach for something to help me as a PRN, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or I say, what, I've weighed out the benefit versus the risk, and the risks far outweigh the benefits. So I need to use these stabilizers. And that's really what we look at these things for. It's a support once you've done all of the rest, not necessarily something to replace. So instead of, let's say, giving a sleeping pill for insomnia first in therapeutic order, we start with sleep hygiene and nervous system regulation and targeted nutrients. And then, eventually, we may escalate to that, because it could be so many things. It could be mold, could be trauma, it could be, again, nervous system dysregulation. It could be so many things, right? And so how can you shift right now from a more reactive to a proactive model? So we start with our health. So we're going to use, our heart rate monitoring if you're our class. You also can use daily health tracking as well, just depending on what you're looking for. We also use lab testing as well. And then we invest in prevention. So we invest our time. So it's not always about investing in money. We invest in our time in movement and eating whole foods and choosing to walk away from certain situations and managing our stress and optimizing our sleep. I got some great sleep last night, so much so I lost my, so I just like really good sleep to prioritize myself, right? So I wake up refreshed today. And then also to working with holistic providers, of course, right? I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but there are amazing holistic providers. Actually, I have a whole webinar that goes over how to choose holistic providers and what they all do and that kind of thing. But holistic providers choose that root cause analysis and a personalized treatment plan instead of managing those symptoms. So it helps you to get off of that rabbit wheel. And when you start with that therapeutic order and you start with the foundational health habits, you're teaching patients, right? Teach a patient how to fish, right? They'll fish for a lifetime before having to be reactive. Grab the provider, grab the this, grab the health, that, because that just drives health anxiety. So the best medicine is the kind that you absolutely never need because you've taken care of your body before disease even develops. So even if you're ready to take a proactive approach to your health, start tracking some of your health habits, get foundational support, stop waiting until it's bad enough, right? Until you act. And I know everybody's in their own stage of change and their own stage of deconstruction and awareness. But if this video resonates with you in any way, like, share, subscribe, tell me in the comments also too, what's one area of your health that you want to be more proactive with? And this week we're going to be exposing the supplement industry. Bum, bum, bum. We'll talk about MLMs versus professional grade in our next video. What's really in your supplements? We'll see you in the next one.